Hey everybody, welcome to BrickVault. My name's Jack. Today we are building a Lego city set. This is Mountain Police Headquarters. By the way, we received this set from Lego, so thanks a lot for sending it to us for review. It is recommended for ages 6 to 12, set number 60174, and it has 663 pieces. Included are 7 minifigs, one pretty sizable build for the headquarters itself, lots of different vehicles, and even a cougar. So that's the basic rundown of the set. Let's check out what's on the inside. Alright, so all this stuff inside the box is actually pretty simply laid out. There are exactly 6 numbered bags, 1 unnumbered bag with some burp pieces on the inside, as well as a 16 by 16 larger plate. And this includes not 1 big manual, but 3 large manuals and 2 smaller ones along with some stickers. So anyways, that's everything we need to get started, so let's get started. Alright, so the set is complete after about an hour and a half of building, which is pretty quick. These city sets usually go very fast, and I'm very happy with the general playability of what we got here. First, let's check out the minifigs because we've got some pretty cool characters. There are 7 in total, and the prints are all pretty unique. A lot of these prints, I think, are the first time they're coming out in Lego, but only a couple of them are exclusive to just this set. Now, let's take a look at the bad guys first, mostly just because I want to show off this funny sort of tree trunk disguise that this one guy's got. This is a new mold and exclusive to this set, and really it's a lot of fun. The guy, I guess, somehow figured out how to use a tree trunk as a disguise, and it looks like he's some sort of lookout. Underneath, he's got a bit of a jacket with a nice little pouch and strap that kind of go around both the front and back, and a couple of really nice expressions. And let's move on to this guy. He's also an exclusive print, I believe, at least that torso piece is, because it shows a pilot's jacket, but also underneath you can see the inmate's stripes from being in prison. He's got a pretty gruff looking face with some scruff, and he doesn't look very happy. And of course, to kind of complete the pilot's look, he does come with a pilot cap with goggles. The last inmate has got a pretty distraught set of expressions. That's the one thing that really stands out for this guy. I mean, because you pretty much have a pretty basic sort of setup for a prison jumpsuit, and with maybe the defining feature also being on the body, the little bit of chest hair that comes out above the collar. Decent enough bad guy figs, but we also got some really cool police officers. I believe exclusive to this set is the female pilot police officer. The dark tan body for the jumpsuit looks pretty good, and you can see sort of the dark blue vest that makes up, well, a lot of stuff, a badge and some zippers. I like the printing that goes down the leg to show more of the harness, and if you look close enough, there is actually a little bit of negative space that shows off the hip, which does indeed make this a female sort of body print. The aviator glasses look definitely tops it off. I believe we got that print last year, and this second female minifigure is awesome because I believe this is also the first time that we get a look at this cap with ponytail mold. Not exclusive to this set, but definitely the first sort of iteration of these pieces to come out in LEGO, and it looks really good. There you can also see sort of a tactical vest in sort of that nice gray blue color, and a lot of these minifigs with the khaki pants or sort of dark tan pants have those pockets printed right on the front. Here is what I believe is the chief. Well, he certainly has the hat for it. That's an awesome mold. And the rest of the body looks like a pretty standard print that you might get for a lot of police officers, though the detailing you see here is once again exclusive to this sort of mountain police city line. Same thing kind of goes for this last officer. He's dressed the most casually, so to speak. The gray blue looks pretty good, juxtaposed with the dark tan sort of khaki pants. And the only thing that gives him away as a police officer is that little badge right on the side, but it's really just a print of it. He's also got an alternate piece for the head, which shows his motorcycle helmet, which I like, that has been now molded with dark blue. And that is, of course, because he's going to be piloting a motorcycle or driving a motorcycle. No stickers for this vehicle, but there's a lot of stickers in this set. Wait a second, I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let's get back to the last minifig. You can't really call it a minifig. Definitely exclusive to this set. Awesome cat, though. This is the cougar. We got a few of these cat molds from the last city jungle line with jaguars with a few different prints. And now, because we're in the mountains, we've got a lion, a mountain lion that sort of matches up with the nature setting. This particular mold for the cat doesn't need a lot of printing. There's just a little bit for the face. I like the nice light blue eyes. And the parts that make up this cat mold in general are awesome. It's such a posable piece. It looks good in just about any stance that you can think to put this in. And who could say no to this combination? Now, this set is really focused on play. There's a lot of play functions, and a lot of the parts I think were also focused on just a variety of different fun vehicles. But first, we're going to be taking a look at the police headquarters here, which has a pretty decent size to the build. And I think they managed to pull that off with a relatively low part count because they used a lot of very large pieces to sort of span between all of these different levels. I will say right off the bat, all the detailing that you notice is sticker detailing. There are hardly any prints and nothing exclusively printed onto a piece for this set. And when we get to the bottom, well, let's check out the first level right before we get to the stairs where you actually run into the den of the cougar. Probably not the smartest place to be building your police headquarters, and I'm surprised the cougar has decided to stay considering it's next to a bunch of, well, commotion that would be a police station. The play function here is kind of an obvious one. This big lever that sticks out is what launches the cougar out the front. If the minifigure is studded into the plate, he's not going to be going anywhere, but once you take him off, the cougar is then really only held back by how hard you hit the trigger. Hitting the trigger relatively softly will allow the cougar to just kind of drop out. He usually falls over, but if you hit it hard enough, he can pretty much go any distance you like. Now, assuming you get past the big cat, the next level isn't yet the police station, believe it or not. This is the prison cell. The wall on the right has some extra supplies. There's a little security camera. The door opens to the front of the cell, and when you flip this whole thing around, you can see a very simple build for a bed. There's a couple of studs at the bottom there that are going to hold the inmate in place, and when you turn the cell around even more, there's this interesting little sort of sticker print that shows a picture of a fish with hearts around it, and that is super random, but it does make, I guess, a little bit more sense when we move later down in the set. But the main function of this cell, by the way, is something that you don't see initially. It's on the top of the cell, and this is sort of the big play escape function. I gotta say, it doesn't work that well. The idea is that you can use the hook piece from the helicopter to wrap around this bar, and then when you yank on it, well, you know, it will probably pick up the entire headquarters, so you kind of have to hold it down. And when you yank on it, assuming you don't break off another random piece, you should be able to pull the entire section or the whole corner piece right out. Admittedly, I made that part loose just so I could show you that function. Fact is, the corner piece is held in by more studs than any of the connecting parts that hold the bar or the hook onto the helicopter, so that function doesn't really work unless you really kind of sort of intentionally make that area a little bit loose. And then above the prison, we've got something, a new piece. It is the net launcher that is exclusive to this set so far, at least. In general, I think the shape of the net launcher is fine, but really they redesigned this because they wanted a better function for it. So I played around with it. When you sort of pull the plunger back, there's this second little click that adds a little bit more resistance. And when you push back in on the plunger, that's what allows sort of a nice little pop. And I had fun playing around with it. I tried it several several times just to kind of see the general distance or how consistent this thing shot. Every now and then something went pretty far, but for the most part it only went, you know, as far as you can pretty much see in these tries. All in all, the function works pretty well, but you really should practice your net shooting abilities if you want to be able to consistently hit your target. Now, assuming you've managed to get past the Cougar, the prison cell, and the net launcher, you can finally actually make it to the station, so to speak. This is where I guess you would report a crime, or where the police officers would actually check in when they're going to work, and it's a pretty nice sort of open office area. Looking at it from the back, it's actually pretty open to get your hands in here. I'm just breaking off these back pieces so you can see inside a little bit easier. There's a lot of fun little details to notice. I like this build for the coffee machine. I think that might actually be an espresso machine now that I'm looking at it a little closer. And then right behind there, we've got a nice sort of very simple build for an aquarium. And this is what sort of explains the little heartsy picture of the fish in the prison cell. Couldn't really place my finger on why he has a picture of the fish. It's there, so I guess that answers the mystery, or maybe even raises more questions. And then in the back, this is a radio. Probably one of the only ways to get in contact with the remote mountain police headquarters tower. And next to that is a microphone for sort of responding back to whoever is sort of trying to contact these guys way up in the hills. This is another computer, by the way. Those detail prints are actually printed on there. And that's pretty much it for the interior of the station. Pretty small build there, but kind of a cozy little office. Looking at the roof, this is the build for the antenna at the top. I gotta say that satellite dish doesn't look that good, and everything about the roof is pretty much as simple as it gets. Looking down in front, I like this sort of vista view. We've got a little bit of a balcony with some fun build that makes up the banisters. Those skeleton feet, I guess, make up little wooden posts. And don't worry, I didn't forget the largest section of what actually makes up the police headquarters. This is the garage. It's a little high, I mean, considering the vehicle that you're parking in there, but the function works just as well as you might expect. Not a lot of detailing on the other side, but as you move this around, you can see one funny little detail. This is a keep out sign that shows a little picture of a kitty. So I don't know who made that door that connects to the Cougar cave, but there it is. So I hope nobody accidentally opens the door. Now, you saw the sort of off-roading 4x4 park into the garage. This is a closer look at the build. Super simple, but for the small amount of parts that make up the truck, I think they pretty much got all the features they were going for. We've got the sort of extra grille in the front with the sort of cage protection, large mud flaps, and kind of an open flatbed. It's easy getting a driver minifigure in the front. And taking a slightly closer look at the interior, I also like that they have not only a steering wheel, but also a bit more of a dashboard with that 1x2 cheese wedge piece that's got some extra prints. At least 2 minifigs fit comfortably in the back of the flatbed, and now we're looking at the helicopter. This is probably the single most repeated build to ever come from a Lego set, especially a police helicopter, but they do manage to make this thing look a little bit different every time. Generally, I think the shape looks pretty good. I think the thing that makes it the most unique here is the build for the back. We actually don't have a back rotor, which is pretty uncommon, and instead there's just some fins added, plus that the pilot gets to put her radio into the little clip on the side, and it's always nice being to easily fit a minifigure into the actual cockpit seat. That's one thing that's good for all vehicles in this set. Everything is very accessible across the board. The helicopter comes with this little elevated helipad, which looks pretty decent. You can see it's sort of based against one rock wall, and then there's a bit of construction on the other side to make a flat sort of landing area, assuming that, you know, the helicopter probably needs it, considering it's landing in this sort of rocky mountainous area. And it doesn't stud into the helipad when it lands, but it feels pretty solid. Now for the crooks, they actually have their own helicopter, which is pretty uncommon for a set to have sort of opposing helicopters. This is a totally different design. I like this. The tail kind of bends, you know, at that fun angle. Overall, it's much thinner, and it kind of gives the impression that it's probably a faster vehicle or a faster helicopter. Pilot fits in just about the exact same way. It has just about the same space as the pilot for the police helicopter, and definitely swooshable. Now, the set comes with a decent amount of spare parts. I did want to point out, though, it does come with an extra chain. So if you wanted to, you could double up on the chains, and you could sort of make a much longer rope that attaches, which I think is probably a pretty fun play function. Now we made it to the very last build of the set. It doesn't look like much, but believe it or not, I think this is what everybody is sort of fighting about. The criminals probably stole this from a bank at some point, but we've got some gold bullion pieces, and they're just kind of stashed away behind this makeshift little shrub that's tucked away in the mountains. The function is as simple as it gets, but of course we needed something for these guys to fight about, right? And there it is. That's the entire Mountain Police Headquarters set. Now, throughout the review, I have been saying that this is at heart a play set. set, there are 7 minifigs, 3 brick-built vehicles, plus a motorcycle, a pretty sizable play area showing the actual headquarters, and even some landscape pieces to have more play functions at your fingertips. That's what these city sets are all about, and I think at the end of the day, they've pretty much hit the nail on the head. Some might say that 663 pieces selling for $89.99 is a higher than normal part-to-price ratio, and technically yes, though city sets generally have a little bit of a higher part-to-price ratio, and we do get a lot of very large pieces in this set, despite the fact that some of them are burp pieces. Alright, that's it for this episode, everybody. Thanks a lot for watching. Remember, if you enjoy our content, you can always like or subscribe, and we'll see you next time at BrickVault.